Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this bracelet right here. This bracelet is my own original design and it is called the Love Arrows bracelet. Now this is a Valentine's special type of bracelet, which is why I'm uploading the tutorial here in February and before Valentine's Day. And yeah, so if this is your first hook only design that you are making, I would not recommend this being the first bracelet that you make, because there are a couple of steps that are pretty complicated, and they're just not it's just not recommended that if you're a beginner that you make this as your first bracelet ever on just a hook. So anyway, to make this bracelet you will need just a hook, so this is a hook only design. If you're not very good at making things on a hook, I can make a Loom tutorial if you request it in the comment section. You will also need a clip. Any clip will work as long as it's for rubber band bracelets, and you will also need rubber bands. So I have 4 different groups of rubber bands. I'm not sure if you can see this group very well, or this group, because they're white and clear. But here, over here on the left, I'm pointing to them right now. These are the heart group, or this is the heart group. This group that I'm pointing at here is the stick group. This group here that I'm pointing at is the feather group, and this group here is the extra group. So the heart rubber bands, this heart group, they're going to be the actual hearts here in the bracelet, so the points of the arrows. The stick group, they're going to be what connects the hearts and the feathers together, so this here in the middle. And these rubber bands here, the feather group, they're going to be, well, the feathers in each arrow, so 3 different feathers. And the extra group of rubber bands is going to be the rubber bands that are not really a part of the arrows but are needed to make the bracelet, so all the extra rubber bands that are in the bracelet. And the heart rubber bands are pink in this example, the stick rubber bands are gold in this example, the feather rubber bands are white in this example, and the extra rubber bands are clear in this example. Alright, now I cannot really tell you how many rubber bands you will need to make yourself a bracelet, because everyone has a different size wrist, which means, well, not everyone's going to need the same number of rubber bands. But I can tell you how many rubber bands you will need to make yourself one of these arrows in the bracelet, so just one of the arrows. So, to make yourself one arrow in the bracelet, you will need 2 heart rubber bands, 1 stick rubber band, 3 feather rubber bands, and 3 extra rubber bands. So, yeah. So now that you know what you're going to need, get your supplies and use the pause button so that you can do so, and I will see you once you have everything. So, to begin making your bracelet, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get the rubber bands you will need to make yourself one arrow, and you will also need 1 extra rubber band. So you should have 3 to make yourself an arrow. You're going to get an extra one because this next one we're going to add is going to be our cap band. And what the cap band is this circular rubber band that is here in this example, and it is this one right here. This is how we're going to start our bracelet. So, to make the cap band, you're going to take your hook and this extra rubber band, and you're going to put it on your hook like so. And while it's on your hook, you're going to twist the rubber band just like this, and this new shape that you create that you're holding with your fingers, you're going to put it onto your hook as well. Now you should have something like this. And now we're going to go ahead and get started on actually making this bracelet here. So to start, we're going to get 1 extra rubber band, and we're going to put it on the actual hook part of our hook like so, and slide this cap band onto this new rubber band we are adding. Now we're going to go ahead and put the other end of this rubber band that we're holding with our fingers onto our hook. And now this is where it's a little bit tricky to make this bracelet. So we're already just getting started, and this is already going to be a little bit tricky. So what we're going to do next is we're going to add 2 extra rubber bands and 1 feather rubber band. But when we do, you're going to first grab the 2 extra rubber bands. You're just going to set them down on top of each other just like this. And then you're going to get the feather rubber band and put it on top like that. Now you're going to want to keep them in this order when you pick them up and put them on your hook. So you have something like this. So the 2 extra rubber bands are still on the bottom and the feather is on top. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slide this extra rubber band that's already on our hook onto these rubber bands we are adding. Be very careful and try to keep the rubber bands in the order they are in right now. Now we're going to go ahead, carefully put the other end of these rubber bands onto your hook as well. And then if you need to, just do a little bit of organizing to get the bands in place. Right. Take through in order. Now make sure the feather rubber band is in the middle, like this, and if it isn't, you'll need to fix that. And to fix that, you'll probably have to take these rubber bands back off and just kind of like start over. But anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to add the other 2 feather rubber bands. And to do that, you're going to get one of the feather rubber bands first. You're going to put it on the actual hook part of your hook like so. And you're going to slide only the first 2 loops that are on your hook right now onto this new rubber band. So by loop, I mean there's this stuff here. So all the rubber bands, each rubber band has 2 loops. So here is 1 loop of this feather rubber band, and then the other loop is right next to it, right here. So the first 2 loops is just the first 2 of these, just these 2 things right here. It's kind of hard to explain for some reason, but they should both be extra rubber bands. Just make sure you keep that feather rubber band off. You should have something like this here on your hook right now. And what you're going to do now, once you have these 2 little loops on this feather rubber band, is you're going to put the other end of the feather rubber band you're holding with your fingers onto your hook as well. Ooh, camera's being flashy and weird. But anyway, once you have something like this, we need to flip all of these rubber bands here on our hook around. And what that is taking the rubber bands off, turning them around, and putting them back on. So what we have on our hooks right now is going to be backwards. Now, if you have a double-ended hook, which means you have a hook on both sides of, I guess, the hook, then all you have to do is slide the rubber bands down to the other end. But I do not have a double-ended hook, I just have this little nub thing here. So what you'll have to do if you do not have another hook on the other side is you'll need to pinch all of these bands that are on your hook right now together. It does not matter if they get out of order. You can fix that once you put them back on. What you're going to do is very carefully take them off, kind of turn them around, and then put them back onto your hook. Now, when you put the rubber bands back on your hook, you can let go of them a little bit so you can see what you're doing. And then when you put these rubber bands back on your hook, make sure you have them in order and nothing is crossing anything else. Alright. Now what we're going to do is the same thing again. We're going to get the other feather rubber band, put it on the actual hook part of our hook, and slide only the first 2 little loops here onto this new rubber band. And they should both be extra rubber bands. So there we go. Now we have something on our hook like this, something like this. Once you do, you're going to go ahead and put the other end of this feather rubber band you're holding with your fingers onto your hook. And now you have finished adding the feathers, and now we're going to add the last few rubber bands for our bracelet. Or for our arrow. Oh my gosh, it's a really small bracelet. So anyway, This next part is really easy. What you do is you get your stick rubber band next. You put it on the actual hook part of your hook like this, and you slide all of these rubber bands that are on your hook right now, they should all be feather rubber bands, onto this new rubber band. Just like that. Nothing else should be on your hook now. Now we're going to go ahead and put the other end, of this stick rubber band onto our hook. Just like that. And now we should have the the back of the hook, or one side of the hook. So now all we need to do is add the hearts. And there are 2 heart rubber bands, and we're going to add one of them first. We're going to put it on the actual hook part of our hook, just like this. Then we're going to slide this stick rubber band onto this new rubber band, but only the first loop. So we're only going to slide this first loop onto this heart rubber band. So it should look something like this. What we're going to do at this point is put the other end of this heart rubber band onto our hook as well. And you should have something like this. Once you do, you're going to need to flip these rubber bands around, and it will be a little bit easier because there's less rubber bands. So what you do to flip the rubber bands around is pinch all of the rubber bands on your hook together, carefully take them off, kind of turn them around, and then put them back on. So as you can see here, what we had on our hook before is pretty much flipped compared to what we have on our hook now. So now the heart rubber band is on the opposite side of what it was on before. So now we can add the last rubber band we need for our arrow. It is another heart rubber band. So we put it on the actual hook part of our hook like this. Then we slide only the first loop here that is on our hook onto this new rubber band, and this first little loop should be a stick rubber band. And then what we do is we put the other end of this rubber band we're holding with our fingers onto our hook as well. And that is your first arrow. Now, to make this part right here an actual arrow, we will need to add the next rubber band, or the first rubber band, in our next arrow. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make an arrow for your bracelet one more time, and then I'm going to leave you to continue making this bracelet on your own, so making the remaining arrows that you will need. So, anyway, to make an arrow for your bracelet, you're going to get 1 extra rubber band to start. You're going to put it on the actual hook part of your hook and slide all of the rubber bands that are on your hook right now onto this new rubber band. Then we're going to go ahead and put the other end of this rubber band here on our hook. And also, just to let you know, I will be going a little bit faster this time around because, well, I'm kind of showing you for the second time, and I don't want this tutorial to be way too long and slow, so yeah, I will be going a little bit faster this time, so just use the pause button if you need to. But anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to place our last 2 extra rubber bands and a feather rubber band. But before we do this, we need to stack the 2 extra rubber bands on top of each other like this, and then get the feather rubber band and put it on top of them. Now we're going to want to keep them in this order when we grab the rubber bands and then put them on the actual hook part of our hook. So it should look something like this here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slide all of these rubber bands that are here on our hook right now onto these 3 rubber bands we are adding. Oops, and one of the rubber bands just came loose. Okay, there we go. It's difficult to do. Turn your hook around like this, that should be easier. There we go. Right, once you have slid the extra rubber band that was on your hook originally on, now we can go ahead and put the other end of these rubber bands onto our hook, and then we need to make sure we have the feather rubber band here in the middle. As you can see here, it's trying to escape. No, stay in there. You have to stay in the middle. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and add our last 2 feather rubber bands. We're going to take one of them at first, put it on the actual hook part of our hook, and slide only these first 2 loops that are here on our hook onto this new rubber band, and the sun is disappearing. Right, so only these first 2 loops here. Then we're going to put the other end of this feather rubber band here on our hook. And also these first 2 loops should have been extra rubber bands. I'm going to go ahead and check out what happens to the sun, so just give me a second. Anyway, now once we have this here, we're going to need to flip the rubber bands around, so we'll have what we have on our hook now only backwards, or flipped, which is the point. So what we do to flip the rubber bands is we pinch all of the rubber bands here on our hook together. We carefully take them off of our hook, then kind of turn them around and put them back on. And you can let go of the rubber bands just a little bit too, so you can see what you're doing, because I just almost caught a rubber band that shouldn't even be on my hook. So there we go. Once you have something like this, we're now going to go ahead, grab our last feather rubber band, put it on the actual hook part of our hook, and slide these first 2 loops onto this new rubber band. And these first 2 loops should be the last extra rubber bands that are on your hook. So you should have something like this, and what we're going to do is put the other end of this rubber band that we're holding with our fingers back onto our hook. Gosh, that cloud is in the way. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my light. Alright, sorry about that. Sun's being crazy today. All those clouds outside, but now what we're going to do, once we have added all of our feather rubber bands, is we're going to get our stick rubber band. We're going to put it on the actual part of our hook like so, and slide all of these rubber bands that are on our hook, and they should all be feather rubber bands, onto this new rubber band. There we go. Now there should be nothing else on your hook, and what we're going to do now is put the other end of this stick rubber band that we're holding with our fingers onto our hook. Right, one of my feathers is a little bit messed up, but I can easily adjust that later. Alright, so now what we're going to do, after we have this, is we're going to add our heart rubber bands. So we're going to add one at first. To do that, we just put it on our hook like so. Slide only the first loop onto this new rubber band. So only the first loop. Then we go ahead and put the other end of this rubber band that we're holding with our fingers onto our hook. Then, once we have this, we flip the rubber bands around, pinch the bands together, carefully take them off the hook, turn them around, and put them back on. Then we get the other heart rubber band and add it the same way. So we put the heart rubber band on our hook, like on the actual hook part of our hook, and then we slide this first loop only onto this new rubber band, and this first loop should be a stick rubber band. And then what we do is we put the other end of this heart rubber band onto our hook, and now we have added the heart rubber bands we need to for this arrow. And to get the actual arrow shape, we'll need to add the next rubber band that will be used for the next arrow. Now, I have shown you how to make this bracelet, the arrows for this bracelet twice, and hopefully that was enough to show you what you need to do. Oh, what you need to do. Something just happened to my voice there. Anyway, what you're going to do now is you're just going to continue adding and looming and moving and stuff over and over until you have made enough arrows to make a bracelet fit around your wrist. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here. I will not be fast forwarding myself making the rest of this bracelet. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video. Just use the pause button if you need to. Oh, and I will see you once it's time to make your bracelet a bracelet. Alright, so as you can see here, I have now made my Love Arrows bracelet long enough so it will now fit around my wrist, and you should have as well. And what we're going to be doing now is making this into a bracelet. So to do this, you're going to need a clip, and if you would like, an additional extra rubber band. Now, if you have made an arrow and you found that halfway through that it would fit around your wrist, so the bracelet, it would fit around your wrist much better than if you have the entire arrow, what you can do is just get rid of that arrow that you're halfway through and just make a single chain of rubber bands to take the place of the arrow. To add a single chain to your bracelet, what you do is you take a rubber band, pull it through all of the rubber bands that are on your hook, and then put the other end of the rubber band that you're holding with your fingers onto your hook. And this is also something I like to do when I finish my bracelet, so attaching the clip is a lot easier. So if you would like to go ahead and do that, pull a rubber band through the last little arrow part of the heart, then you can go ahead and do that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get our clips and make this a bracelet. So to do that, you're going to have the rubber band here on your hook. You're going to grab the arrow or the rubber bands below it. Then you're going to pull them down. Don't pull the hook down with it, because then it's just going to be moving your hook up and down. Pull the rubber bands down. Then you're going to get your clip and attach it to this stretched out rubber band here. Once your clip is attached to the rubber band, you can pull them off of your hook. And now we need to attach the clip to the other end of our bracelet, and that is our cap band. So to do that, you go find your cap band, and it should be the circular rubber band here on the other end of your bracelet. For me, it looks like this weird 8 shape, but once you pinch the two sides together, you get the circle shape. And what you do at that point is you get your clip and attach it to your cap band. There you go. And once you have done that, you have now made your Love Arrows bracelet a bracelet. So now you can put it on, and bam! So as you can see here, I am now wearing my Love Arrows bracelet, and hopefully you are as well. And now it is time for the outro. So I would like to thank you for watching my tutorial. Hopefully it showed you how to make my Love Arrow bracelet successfully, and hopefully you love your Love Arrow bracelet. And yeah, so like I said before, if you're just not very good or you just find it very difficult to make things on just a hook, you can request a Loom tutorial in the comment section, and I will make one probably after Valentine's Day. So it won't be before Valentine's Day, I cannot promise that. It depends on when you request the Loom tutorial, but like I said, this is a Valentine's special bracelet, but you can make it any time of the year because who's stopping you? That's pretty much all I have to say for this tutorial, other than thanks for watching, and bye!